somebody actually told you that what was likely to happen
Yeah.
and warned you, and I can imagine that was quite a serious warning. Why
Yeah.
did you not heed that warning and get the hell out while you had the opportunity?
Okay, I had a lawyer who helped my workers out when they got in trouble with the police. And towards the end of everything, Sammy the Bulgar van had been arrested, and there was a lot of heat on the rave scene in Arizona. And that lawyer said to me, you know, my contacts with the Drug Enforcement Agency are saying, you know, you need to be the hell out of town, or you know. And then I met a lady who wasn't in the rave scene, and she talked me out of the dealing, and I'd quit by the time the SWAT team came. But I was naive to the law. There's what's called a statute of limitations in Arizona, and that means if you've committed a crime, they have 7 years to charge you for it. So even though I quit dealing ecstasy, all it took was someone almost 7 years ago to tell the police that I'd sold them ecstasy, and they could put me away. So I had kind of stopped and learned that, but it was too late. And the evidence they got to arrest me was I hadn't personally quit using. I was still sneaking off on the weekends with my mate Wildman, getting high and partying, and they used that, me talking about on the phone about drugs, as the evidence to arrest me. Yeah. So, you know, I take full responsibility for getting arrested. I broke the law, I deserve to be punished, and I credit it with saving my life. You know, the danger I was putting myself in, like some of the stories I've told you guys this evening, I could very easily have ended up getting killed or overdosing on drugs, or, you know, something crazy happening to me. But sadly, most of the young people who come into the jail, they're so scared they click up with the gang members and they go from club drugs or weed to shooting up heroin and crystal meth. It doesn't work for the majority of them. They get these neo-Nazi tattoos, they can't get jobs, and just like the jail knows allowing this to happen means they'll come right back, so does the gang. If you've got a swastika on your forehead and you go for a job interview, you've no chance, and the gang knows that. The gang knows they'll come right back and it'll keep the gang going. So Phoenix, which prides itself on having the toughest prisons in the whole country, has also got the highest crime rate according to the FBI statistics. It doesn't work. If you treat people like animals, they get out and behave like animals and commit more crimes. There's got to be a line drawn between punishment and rehabilitation, somewhere that's sensible, because the taxpayers end up paying for it all at the end of the day. Anyone else? Yeah, sure.
So, you're a publisher?
Yeah.
Spill.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Basically, I've sold £500,000 worth of books in 5 years with my conventional publisher, and I really appreciate being conventionally published, because I wouldn't have been able to generate a readership or anything without that. And the amount of money I've made from my publisher has been less than £5,000 a year from selling £500,000 worth of books. And you know, my mum was one of my top sales people with me in Waterstones Book Science. We went in these Waterstones across the country, 8-hour shifts, putting people in headlocks almost to buy copies of Hard Times. Press ganging people. You know, we literally sweated blood, didn't we, to get all the book sales, and it did work. We sold a lot of books, and we're happy about that. But at the end of the day, you know, in the last 6 months, the final payment to me, when I had sold the most amount of books I've ever sold in the last 6 months, and the final payment to me was £1,000. They charged me £2,000 in legal expenses. Yeah, a legal read of prison time, they charged me £2,000 for. Yeah. So I'm thinking, you know, I put all this work, it took me 10 years to write my life story as a trilogy. I've got a non-competition clause with them on Hard Time, which lasts 3 years. I can write a competing work and publish it myself, and the technology is available to do that now. So I've set up this publishing company, Gadfly Press, to continue to publish my books, and to publish the books of the prisoners I met inside, who I promised them I would get their life stories out. Two Tony's is going to be probably one of the next, and T-Bone as well. So I think that will help him turn his life around. You know, when someone used to buy one of my books on Amazon, I would get paid 38 pence a copy. And now, because I put them on Amazon myself, my own copies, I'll get 10 times that. Yeah, so, you know, I think when someone does that much work, they deserve to be paid for it.
Would you consider doing putting it out for a film? Sounds good, yeah.
You know, I would love my life story to be turned into a film. And over the years, a lot of people have come and gone and said they were going to do that. And in the beginning, we always get so excited. And I've realised there's a lot of people just blowing smoke at people's thingies in this when it comes to films. You know, I've got an agent in London who handles the film rights, and I refer anyone to him now who inquires. So hopefully over time it will come about just as a natural progression. Howard Marks, he was a big pot dealer. You know, his story came out as a film in the last 2 years, but I think he's been doing the talks, and his books came out about 10, 20 years ago, so it took that long for him to get it to the movie level. But we'll see. If a movie did come about and there was big money, you know, first thing I'm going to do, I owe my parents almost $100,000 in legal fees still, which I'm slowly paying them back, so I'd like to get them that paid back and then buy them a house in Spain as well.
You've sat down in front of too many witnesses.
And it's on camera, it's recorded. Anyone else got any questions? Yes, Penny?
You said yoga helped you an awful lot when you were in prison.
Yeah.
And what can we do to encourage yoga in prisons over here?
There are people doing it.
Are there?
There's,
Is there an
yeah,
organisation
if you
or
look
teachers
online,
or- so it
there
happens.
are
Yeah.
some people doing it. The problem with getting yoga into prison or getting anything into prison, the guards look at anyone coming into prison as a security issue and an inconvenience. You know, they don't want to have to deal with all the bureaucracy to authorise someone to come into prison and do this and then supervise those classes. So there's a lot of walls put up, barriers to people coming in and to helping them.
Have you ever thought of going to the prisons to talk about it or to...
I have thought about going into prisons and doing yoga. I do go into prisons and tell them my story. As part of the Hay Festival, I went and spoke in at HMP Park, and that went down really well with the prisoners. And you know, if an opportunity came for me to do yoga in prisons, I would pursue that, definitely. I'm not a qualified yoga instructor, but you know, in the prison, I was ashamed of doing yoga at first because I thought that the prisoners would think I was a sissy and pick on me. But by the end of it, I was doing these extreme positions on the rec field, and the prisoners were coming up to me asking me to teach them it, and I started a little class for the prisoners that yoga out in Arizona. And Callie's really like insisting that I go and get my teacher training as well for yoga, so we'll see what happens. Such good influence. Okay, anyone else got anything? Yep.
This serial home invader torturer.
Yeah. Yep.
You think of all the letters, the first letters, it's S-H-I-T. You touched upon the suicides.
Yeah.
It's not just in prison, there's thousands every year.
Yeah.
It's too many.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes of the society we live in.
Yeah. It does. I've just become the patron of a mental health organisation out of Guildford, and it's because of what things like you said, the suicides and the mental illness that's prevalent in society right now, that I feel I want to help people in that area. Yeah.
My question would be, you've gone from banking to prison, drugs, writing, talking, no publishing, which you should get all your rights back if you can from your publisher. What's next?
What's next?
It's still really
That's a
young.
question.
What's next in my life? That's an excellent question, but I just don't know how to answer it.
Anything planned about?
I've not got anything planned, you know. Before I got out of prison, the prisoners who were supporting me and whose stories I was putting on the internet, they all came up to me and said, "Look, Shaun, you're going to keep the writing going," because they were getting pen pals and stuff from around the world, and they loved that because a lot of them were never getting out. And prisoners, when they're getting released, generally what they'll say to their mates in prison is,